Hey everybody, it's Kyle. Hey, today I want to do a quick video on when other people judge us. And you know what I'm talking about. When your kids have difficulties in public places and everybody seems to stare. And some of us can get very frustrated and even lash out at other people. And I want to share with you a couple of events that happened to me and maybe have you consider a better way. So the first one I want to share with you is a few years back when my two boys are on the spectrum, were pretty young. My wife decided to have a girls' day in where she invites all her friends over, and my job is to kind of get out and take the kids with me. Well, at the time, my two boys that were on the spectrum, I had 2-year-old twins, and my two boys that were on the spectrum were about 8 and 10 or so. And at the time, they were runners. And my two oldest sons, my two oldest typical sons, I have 6 total kids. They weren't available to go with me. They had other events that they were doing. And so I decided to take the kids to a Burger King playland, which was safe because there was only one way in and out. There was a back door, but it had an alarm on it, and so I could watch them pretty carefully. So we get to Burger King. It's a Friday night, and it's really packed. And so we kind of squeeze into a corner booth. And within a few minutes, I send the kids off to play in the playland, and it's full of kids. And within a few minutes, I hear a big, loud squeal. One of the kids had set off the back door alarm by pressing that little bar and setting off the alarm. And, I knew it was one of my kids pretty quickly because all the other kids ran to their parents and were pointing at my kids. And my kids have some sound issues, and so they came running over to me like this. And so I asked the oldest of my two boys on the spectrum, "Did you press the bar?" And he said, "Bar?" And he's not very verbal. And so I knew that he had done it. And that and the other kids were pointing at him and saying he did it to their parents. And they kind of gave me a mean stare like, "What kind of parent are you?" And the truth is, I really didn't care because I knew that Eric didn't know what was going on. And so I said, "Please don't press the bar, okay? I love you." And I gave him a kiss and sent him on his way. And they went back to playing, and then I started watching him a little closer to make sure he didn't get next to that back door. Well, he didn't get next to the back door, but his other brother, who's on the spectrum, did. And he pressed the bar. And it set the alarm off, and now the parents were staring at me even with more disgust. And, I knew it wasn't Eric because I was watching him, but I knew it was Ricky at this point. So I grabbed Ricky and I said, "Did you press the bar?" And he said, "Bar?" And I realized he didn't really understand very well either at the time. And so I gave him a hug and a kiss and I said, "I love you, go have fun, okay?" And they ran off. Well, my boys, between the two of them, pressed that bar no less than probably 7 or 8 times in the span of about 15 or 20 minutes. And every time they would, those parents would just look at me with disgust. And you know what I'm talking about. They were judging me. But they had no idea what was going on with my kids. And I certainly wasn't going to be frustrated with my boys. They were doing their best. They were having fun. They weren't trying to be disruptive. But the thing that I did notice is that the more they pressed the bar, the more people left, and the emptier and emptier the place got. And so I was thinking, hey, eventually they'll all leave and I'll win this battle. Well, so after a while, everybody had left except for me and my family and one other couple and their 2 sons. And so this guy comes walking over to me, and he's a big dude, and I'm thinking, great, here we go. I'm getting ready. And he says to me, "Do your boys have some sort of special needs?" And it kind of surprised me. And I said, "Yeah, the 2 oldest boys there that you see are autistic." And he kind of leaned into me and he said, "That was awesome." He said, "My sister has a son who's autistic, and she won't take him anywhere because people judge her because he does things that are unusual or he has meltdowns. And she gets so defensive and frustrated, she won't take him anywhere. Would you call her and talk to her about what you did there?" He said, "I could tell your boys felt love. You didn't get mad at anybody else. You just hugged them and kissed them and sent them on their way, and they had a great time." And it made me start to realize how many people don't take their kids places or don't do things with them because they're afraid of the judgments of other people. And I think ultimately more important than how we feel about people judging us is that our kids know we love them. And the truth is, and I've done this before too, I've gotten on to people for judging me. But I want to ask you a question: when's the last time getting frustrated with somebody or yelling at them or screaming at them or whatever you do has changed them? When has somebody else been changed by you yelling at them or frustrated with them? I guess the question is, when's the last time you changed when somebody yelled at you? And the answer is rarely ever. Rarely ever do people change. There's a better way for us to influence them and help them understand what we're going through than to be frustrated and aggravated. They don't know. They don't know our kids have special needs. They have no idea. And for us to scream at them and yell at them about it really doesn't help our situation, or I think really the special needs situation. A few years back, when my son was 15, he had a severe meltdown at a Walmart. And I can remember he was on the floor screaming and yelling and crying. And this is a 15-year-old. And I remember kind of a circle of people coming around us. And you know, the thought crossed my mind as I'm hugging him, trying to bring him back and help him overcome his meltdown. The thought crossed my mind, you know, these people could either A, be judging me and think I'm a horrible parent, or B, just be shocked at my patience and how much love I'm showing my son. And I realized at that point I could choose. And so I chose those people that were looking at me and staring at me. I chose to believe that they were shocked at my patience and my love and my kindness for my son. And he didn't need me to be screaming and yelling and frustrated with other people. He didn't need to see that when he was in that meltdown state. What he needed from me was to love him and to be kind to him and to be patient for him. So I guess my message for today is our kids don't need to see us frustrated with other people. We don't need to be frustrated with other people. They don't know generally. They have no idea what we go through. So it's okay for us to decide to focus on our children in those times. If somebody says something to us, I've found the best way to handle that is just to completely ignore them, focus on the health and well-being of my child, and move forward. And what I've also found is it helps release me from being frustrated with those other people out there. So when other people judge, you have a choice. And I suggest that choice is to just let it go. Focus on your child. They're the ones that need you at your best. And if you're screaming and yelling and frustrated with other people, you're not at your best. So do that for them. And if you'll do that for them, I can almost guarantee they'll feel that. And that's what we want for them. This isn't about other people. It's not about us. It's about our child. So do that. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.